Hey guys, this is Chad with Urban Greens, and today we're going to talk a little bit about the plumbing and the hardware that we use for the grow kits. All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is the inline filter. This is basically the first line of defense for preventing any type of clogging to happen in your feed lines. And it has a steel mesh filter on the inside that does a really good job of, preventing any type of plant matter or gunk that can end up flowing into your feed lines. And so we like to check this thing about once a week and make sure that everything is pretty cleared out in there. So you can just unscrew it. Inside is a mesh filter. If it has a bunch of gunk, you can just rinse it out in the sink and then slap it back in, close it down to hand tight, and you should be good to go. And like I said, we like to do that about once a week just to make sure that you're getting the maximum amount of flow through all of your feed lines. All right, so now we are going to talk a little bit about the valves and the flow meters. The valves are pretty much to regulate the flow going through each one of these lines. The reason that's important is if the valves weren't there, when the pump kicks on, the water is going to favor the path of least resistance, which will end up watering the bottom levels much more than the top levels. So these valves are kind of put into place to make sure that each one of these lines end up getting the same amount of water on the entire rack. And so how we kind of measure for that is these flow meters kind of gauge how much water is flowing through each one of these lines. And when we turn the pump on, we want each one of these to read about 0.7 gallons per cycle. And so to achieve that, you can, turn a cycle on, let everything flow, see what kind of numbers you're getting, and then start to adjust these to make sure that each level is getting the same amount. Generally, you're going to be closing the bottom ones more than the top. The top will probably be left wide open. And so that's the best way that we've found to make sure that each one of the levels gets an even amount of water, because if you have uneven amounts, it can really affect the growth on the different levels. All right, so the final thing that we're going to talk about is what to do if you end up having a clog in one of these black tubes. So usually the clog is going to occur right at this point of contact, and what you'll need to do is remove the black line to kind of clear everything out. And so what you're going to want to do is there's a little plastic ring on the inside of there, and if you normally can't pull it out, they're really in there good. But if you kind of push the plastic ring back against itself and then pull out, it comes right out. It's pretty handy. And so you can either, blow it out or put it into the sink to kind of rinse it out, but that usually clears the obstruction. If that ends up not doing the trick, what you can do is remove this fitting, and the clog could be somewhere into there. And to do that is we've provided this little tool that comes along with the kit itself. And the first thing you want to do is get it off of the plastic clip here. And the procedure to do that is to push the blue pipe against itself. Otherwise, it's really hard to get this thing off. They're secure in there pretty good. But if you push it against itself, then it just opens up, no problem. And so once you get that out, you're going to take your tool and make sure that the flat kind of edge side goes towards the fitting. And you're going to slip that thing around and then make sure that it's all the way in there. And then once it gets in, it just kind of pushes right off. And then if the obstruction's in there, you can kind of rinse it out or clear whatever in the way. So when you're finished, just push it right back on, back into the clip. This goes back in, and you are good to go. So that pretty much covers everything about the equipment and the plumbing when it comes to the kit. If you guys have any questions or would like us to elaborate further on anything, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll definitely take a look at it. Thanks a lot, guys.